that's a good idea. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is post the colors. And we go to all the second grade classes throughout the district. Actually, I think it's 8 or 9 schools. And we teach them flag etiquette, the second graders. It's really, really fun. So one thing I always teach them, colors are coming. First thing you do is stand if you're able. If you can't stand, that's fine. Stand, turn and face the colors. They're going to be up here in the front of us, behind our right side over here. And you take your hat off and put your hand over your heart. So, detail, colors, post. And if you're military, you can salute. Okay, we're going to sing the national anthem. Russ Mansmith is going to lead us in that. So you can please join in.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming? And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color Guard, you can go ahead and take seats, and the rest of you also. Thank you. Introductory remarks will be by Ashley Venberg Bouchette, our Legion Commander. Commander Ashley.
Good morning and welcome. On behalf of the American Legion Post 225 and the VFW Post 4210, we want to thank everyone for joining us today as we gather to honor and remember the brave men and women who gave their lives in service to our nation. Memorial Day is more than just the start of summer. It's a day of reflection, gratitude, and remembrance. We pause to recognize the sacrifices made by our fallen heroes and the families they left behind. Their courage, dedication to this country will never be forgotten. Today, as we stand together as a community, let us remember the true meaning of this day and carry forward the values of service, patriotism, and unity. Thank you all for being here. God bless our fallen heroes, their families, our veterans, and the United States of America. At this time, I would like to recognize our Gold Star families. If you are a Gold Star family member, please stand so we can recognize you and offer our deepest gratitude and respect. If you are a Blue Star family member, please rise so we can recognize and thank you for your continued dedication and support. If you are currently serving as a member in our armed forces, please rise so we can recognize and thank you for your service. Thank you. You may all be seated. At this time, I'll welcome Ron Miller back to the podium to introduce our keynote speaker.
And to do the prayer that I failed to do after the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pray. Lord, we give you thanks for this beautiful day, and I give you thanks for bringing us together to honor the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guards, Space Force, all the military that have been fighting for us for many years. We thank you for them. We thank you for those that were left behind that had to go with the struggles, especially if our loved one didn't return. So we ask that you would take them under your care and bless them and bless us. In Jesus' name, amen. Major General Linda Marsh, she grew up in the area here. She was Air Force. She was a retired Major General, and she graduated from the University of St. Thomas, ROTC. She served in the Air Force. She was on active duty. She was in the National Guard and the Reserves. She deployed during Iraqi freedom, during enduring freedom, and joint forage at many different levels as she went higher and higher until she got to be the two-star general there, and was Deputy Director, Logistics, Joint Staff, the Pentagon. Was one of her most recent or before she retired positions. She and her husband, Patrick, who's up here also, and the owner
So on this day of remembrance and respect, we all must ask, what do we owe these brave few, and how do we repay their eternal debt? We owe them this day, of course, but we must honor them each and every day using these gifts that they have given us to create a better world, a stronger nation, a kinder community. We can exercise our freedoms with great care for one another and for the future of our children. We can responsibly take advantage of the many opportunities this land gives us. We can use our talents, the benefits of our fortune, and the love in our hearts to enrich the lives of those around us. We can and must, as Americans have for over 2 centuries, aspire to be more, be better, and be kinder tomorrow than we are today. Using these gifts secured by the greatest sacrifice to not only do good, but to be good is the closest way we may come to repaying their invaluable and eternal gift. You know, over the last several years, a very dedicated team here from Forest Lake have harnessed freedom's gifts to accomplish so many of these deeds with dedication in their hearts. And as a result of those dedications, right here at this Veterans Memorial Park, a 9-foot-tall central bronze sculpture will soon anchor an expanded manifestation of this spirit of service. I'm profoundly honored to be creating this sculpture with my teammates, my husband Pat Marsh and Nick Lagaros. So today after the service, please join us at that site, and you can view this 1/4 sized model. It's about 2 feet tall. We made this in coordination with a most gracious design committee who have used their gifts to guide this monumental creation. So when you view the bronze model, you're going to see a sculpture that portrays a combat soldier's profound capacity to confront and surmount adversity, make deliberate choices, and steadfastly pursue goals, even in the face of obstacles. You will see a sculpture that captures the complex emotions of a redeploying soldier reunited with her daughter, joyful for this homecoming, yet sad she missed the year away from her as she grew so big during that year away. You will see the collapsing walls of the chaos of war from which these warriors emerge. They're supported by a majestic eagle as the American spirit rises from within, the spirit of service. So today on Memorial Day, we honor all of America's war dead, but tomorrow and all the days that follow, let us keep their sacrifice in our hearts as we strive to honor them by being good and true, hopeful and strong, and by committing to building a brighter future. Let us use our precious freedom through our words and deeds to honor those who embody the spirit of service and accepted death for the love of their country and its best ideals. May God continue to bless the United States of America and all of those in her service. Thank you.
Please join me in singing America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine.
Thank you, Dave. Or, thank you, Russ. Dave, please join me. What we're going to do now is a sad thing, and that is we're reading the names of those military in the area that have passed away this last year since, and there's going to be 99 of them, quite a few. So the first one is Douglas Earhart.
David Anderson. Let me say that we're going to read these and pronounce the names as best we can. And, you know, we might not do our absolute best, but we're trying to do our best here.
Yeah, you can bring that up. Michael Anderson.
Edward Ballvance.
Paul Berry.
Thomas Bechtold.
Edward Belmore Sr.
Timothy Burtz.
Kenneth Blanchard.
Arthur Balsda.
Ricky Boyum.
Paul Bryn.
Wayne Broderson.
Joshua Brown.
Michael Carney.
Arthur Charlton.
Michael Clemens.
Merle Connors.
Michael Cooper.
Daniel Dahlquist.
Benjamin Doherty.
Stephen Erickson.
William Flanagan.
Clyde Fultz.
James Gagney.
Ronald Gertis.
Shauna Halen.
James Holinsky.
Max Hendrickson.
Richard Hofstede.
Dennis Hoyt.
Mark Jansen.
James Johnston.
Robert Jones.
Richard Youngworth.
Thomas Kinley.
Kenneth Kinney.
George Kramer.
Stephen Kranz.
Dames Kraska.
Ralph Lallier.
Charlie Larson.
Ellsworth Larson.
Ray Lee.
Ward Lewis.
Mike Lauren.
Ronnie Lucier.
Thomas Lynch.
Frank McCollis.
Philip Malvig.
Frederick Marquardt Jr.
James Metco.
Louis Matsfield.
Jeff McConnell.
David Meyer.
Eric Milbred.
Jim Miller.
Thomas Miller.
Wayne Nelson.
Lawrence Olding.
David Olson.
Marlon Olson.
Thomas Partica.
Will Paulman.
Jerome Phillips.
Joe Plants.
J. Bradley Podretz.
Charles Rasmussen.
Rasmussen.
Sorry.
Lamonte Rauch.
Norman Rogstead.
Donald Richardson.
Maynard.
Wade.
Oh, we skipped one, sorry. Wade Rudrogan. Sorry.
Maynard Sandberg. And he happened to be 100 years old. Maynard Sandberg.
Jeffrey Solvikal.
William Schmidt.
Stephen Schultze.
Paul Schwapik.
Lloyd Schwager.
Arlo Schielander.
Patrick Solovich.
Thomas Skipon.
Edward Spanovich.
James Stoltzman.
Philip Terrell.
Paul Theis.
Edward Tim.
Edward Tim. Dennis Tolofsbro.
Victor Vanderslice Jr.
Charles Whalen.
Bill Walton.
Alcuin Wensman.
Alan Wenzel.
Donald Westman.
John Wilberg.
John Wilhelmy.
Robert Wolf.
Paul Woody.
Thomas Zack.
And Joseph Zerwas Sr. our deep sorrow for those family members that lost them over this last year. Now we're going to do, Jerry Peltier will sing Sleep Soldier Boy while the Legion and VFW commanders and auxiliaries presidents will lay wreaths and spread petals at our mock gravesite, which is over by the lake there. As soon as they start walking over there, you can do that. Okay. Go ahead.
The battle is over and peace is all around you. Rest, warriors, in peace. The sound of war will never more disturb you. Sleep, warriors, among the best. Your orders completed, your work here is done. Sleep, warriors, and rest. The flag you defended, the victory you've won. Peace be with you, warriors. The sun has set and the peace is all around you. Sleep, warriors, sleep on. Your mother's arms are waiting to enfold you. Sleep in peace till then. The time's not long and the bugle will sound forth, mustering you back again. You'll wake with the dawning and answer the call. Rest, warrior, till then. Sleep in peace, day is done, till the bugle calls you at the dawn. Be at rest, God is nigh. Warriors.
The rifle team is going to do the 3-volley salute also, so if you want to cover your ears, they're firing out over there by the lake. Continue to salute. Play taps. Go. Two, you can be seated. Thank you. Okay, so I need Mayor and Bob. You guys want to be together instead so you can help each point? Okay, what we're going to do now is list the names of the person that have purchased pavers since last August 11th to March. And so those pavers are already installed over at the Veterans Memorial. But what we do to honor the persons whose name is on there, and if that person is not here for whatever reason, whether it's because they're not because they're deceased or they can't make it, family members can stand in their place. So when I have 68 new pavers. Usually I have about 15, maybe 20, and it only takes a little short time. Well, I'm going to have to zip on through this because we've got to get done. We've got funerals, cemeteries to go to, and whatever. So I'm going to say the name. The Mayor Blake and Bob Detmer, they're going to go ahead and point out the person that it's for. So first one is Petty Officer Don Anderson. So Don Anderson, Navy, USS America. He was in service from 1965 to 69 over the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, next one is Private Bobby J. Back. Bobby Back. Army, 1956 to 58, Fort Polk, Louisiana. Next is Staff Sergeant David Back. Army, National Guard, Iowa, 1958 to 1966. Yeah, you should be standing up, those people that I say. Yes? Yes. We won't be able to stop in between, though, or it won't get done. So next one is Airman Peter Back. So there's 3 backs in there, and they all have each other's back. This one, Peter, is Air Force, Texas, 1952 to 56, and he was in North Africa, one of his places. Next is Richard J. Dostal, Colleen's dad, and Navy. He was a AE2, and he was with the Fleet Air Service. 1951 to 55, he was in Korea, one of the places. Next is Fireman Robert M. Gleb, Bob Gleb. Navy, riverboats, 1969 to 71, Vietnam. Earl C. Gorss, G-O-E-R-S-S. Staff Sergeant, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Army Air Corps, mechanic, 1942 to 46, and Europe. Claire D. Lillis, Staff Sergeant, Army Mortar, 1969 to 71, in Vietnam. Specialist 3, Terry Madden, Army, 1955 to 57, Fort McPherson, Georgia. Next is Staff Sergeant Brian D. Mink, Wisconsin, Army National Guard, Engineers, 1993 to 2004, and he was in Iraq. CW4, Richard Mink, and he was Army, Aviation. He was in Iraq, 1967 to 2008 was his service. He was also in Vietnam. And his wife, Sergeant First Class Susan Mink, Army Headquarters, 88th Regional Readiness Command, and a bunch of other units that she was in 1981 to 2018, and she was in Iraq as one of her places. Larry D. Perot, Air Force, E4, Aviation Mechanic, 1954 to 58. He was up in Alaska. Anthony Rhodey, Specialist 5, Army, Combat Support Detachment, 1967 to 68. He was in Vietnam. Staff Sergeant James Sanford, Air Force, Ellsworth Air Force Base, South Dakota, 1954 to 63, Okinawa. Paul Siebert, Air Force, he was a communications sergeant, 1985 to 1990. James D. Skra, Air Force, Korea, and Germany, 1962 to 68. Next is Bernie Von Wald, Navy, 1957 to 1963. He's in the USS Chandler. Leroy Willis, he was a tech sergeant, Air Force, flight simulator, And 1975 to 95, he was in Iceland and Alaska. And his wife, Melissa Willis, Staff Sergeant, Air Force, Flight Simulator also. 1975, they went through Air Force advanced course, whatever, together. And she was in until 1981. She was in Virginia. She was in New Mexico. And then also the other places that her husband, Leroy, was at. Okay, so one thing I forgot to say is those groups all ordered at the same time. There was an alphabetical order within that group, but I have other groups here. So the next group is the ones that, anyway, another group. Specialist 4, Richard Arvig. Rich was in the 74th Recon Airplane Company, 1965 to 71. He was in Phu Loy, Vietnam. Army Sergeant Larry Joe Back. He was in Mechanized Infantry, Iowa National Guard, 1966 to 69. July, Vietnam, Purple Heart. So you guys probably thought I forgot that other back. There's 4 backs. But they bought it in a different group. Okay, next is large size, Specialist 4, James Bernier, Army Nuclear Warhead, 2nd of the 40th Artillery. He was in from 1960 to 66. Germany was one of the places he was at. Army Sergeant Joshua R. Brown. One of the 194 Armor, 34th Division Red Bulls. He was in from 2000 to 2025. Went over to Bosnia and Iraq. Okay, then there's the Detmers. Rob Detmer, which is Bob's son. Robert R. Detmer, Army, Military Intelligence, Information Officer also. And 2000 to he's still in, worldwide. He was in the global war on terror, and he went all over the world, like I say, he still is in. At this point in time, he's a colonel, but we left his rank blank on the paver over there so that if he makes general or whatever, you know, we can put that in later. Okay, that was Rob. Next one is CW4 Robert P. Detmer, Army, standing right to my left here, Military Intelligence. He was in from 1986 to 2011. He was in Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation I Freedom, and Global War on Terror. Lieutenant Colonel Travis P. Detmer, Army. It's Rob's twin, they're Bob's son. Public Affairs and Logistics from 2000 to 2023, Worldwide and Global War on Terror. Next is Mark Finneman, commonly called Finn, and he was a Specialist 5 Army, 1970 to 1973. He was a cartographer, and he's also the designer of our Forest Lake Veterans Memorial. So Finn, yes. Where are you, Finn? There he is up here in the front. All right. Bob is on the committee also. Bob and I were on the committee since it's formed in 2008. And thank you for hanging in there, Bob. And I'm sure you probably say the same thing for me to hanging in there. So anyway, the next one. Finneman. Okay, then Colonel Harvey J. Glowoski. Army Field Artillery, 1966 to 93. He was in Germany and in Vietnam. Krista Goodyear, also a Richter. And Krista was in the Navy as a radio man, 3rd class from 1982 to 86. She was at NAVCOM station Yokosuka, Japan. Next is Motor Machinist 1st Class Navy, Donald K. Grant. He was wounded in D-Day at Utah Beach, 1942 to 45. He was in landing craft number 777. It wasn't very lucky for him. Well, he lived, but other than that, it wasn't so lucky. Okay, Staff Sergeant David Garrett. David is passed away. Army Infantry, 198th Infantry Battalion, 1966 to 94, Vietnam, Minnesota Army National Guard. So I mentioned that he was deceased. There's a variety here of whether they're alive or deceased. You can buy a paver for either category. Okay, next one, Army Staff Sergeant Stephen G. Hansen. He was in 5th Battalion, 82nd Artillery, Korea, 1962 to 65. He was in Bravo 1 of the 151 Artillery, Minnesota Army National Guard from 77 to 1993. Next is Ronald Hoheisel, Specialist 5. He was at Headquarters Batteries, 2nd Infantry Division Artillery. He's over here carrying the U.S. flag. 1970 to 72, he was in Camp Stanley, Korea. Ron Hoheisel. Next is Linda Peranto Marsh, right behind me. Major General, Joint Staff, Pentagon. Yes, in 1988 to 2012, and she went worldwide. And her husband, Major Patrick March. That's right. Always. You got a spot up here, but he went one less. Okay. Front row of seats up on that side. He wanted to give signals to the general, maybe. And she doesn't have eyes in back of her head yet. So anyway, point is, he was an Air Force flight surgeon from 1989 to 2004. He was in the Pacific area, and he went in Operation Enduring Freedom and OIF also. Next is Roy L. Mathieson Jr., Army Specialist 4, 1958 to 64, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Army Specialist 4, Paul Perala, Delta Company, 16th Artillery, Honest John, Artillery, Honest John's big guys. 1958 to 64, 3rd Infantry Division in Germany. Next is a Navy Missile Tech, Paul Savord. And Paul was in the USS West Virginia. It's a submarine, 736. And 2003 to 2011, he was in the Atlantic for most of his service. Lieutenant Colonel Vladimir W. Tkach. Vlad was in the Air Force Resources, 1969 to 1989, worldwide. Sergeant August F. Tolzman, Delta 1st Regiment. He was a marksman, 1905 to 1912. Right before World War I. Minnesota Army National Guard is what he was in. Next, Specialist 5, C. Wassman, Army Dental Assistant from 71 to 1977, Fort Gordon, Georgia. Okay. This next group are ones that Jerry Peltier had purchased for friends and relatives. First one is Dennis D. Johnson, Navy. He was an RM-3 radio man, 1962 to 66. He was in the Atlantic Ocean area. Next is Alfred Oguez, Army Troop Transportation, 1942 to 45, World War II. Next is Petty Officer Fred Oguez, Navy Engineer Fuels, 1956 to 60, the Pacific Ocean. Next is Archie L. Peltier, Army Master Sergeant, Bravo 370 Field Artillery, 1941 to 45. He was in Europe. Cyril Peltier, U.S. Marine Corps, 3rd to the 7th, 1st Marine Division, 1941 to 45, Pacific. Eugene C. Peltier, Sergeant, 5th Army Air Force, 1942 to 46, Pacific. Jeffrey Peltier, Army Sergeant, 82nd Airborne, 1980 to 86, Japan and Germany. 06, Ray Peltier, he was Army Special Services person, 1941 to 1976. He worked mostly in the Twin Cities Arsenal. Norman Parole, Navy, he was AD-2 Aviation Mechanic, 1958 to 62. He was in Miramar. Charles Rinke, Marine Sergeant, 1949 to 52. He's in Korea. David Schultz, Sr., U.S. Marine Corps, Private First Class, 3.5 rocket systems, 1958 to 61. He was in Korea and Japan. Okay, next section is Airman First Class Daniel J. Turoville, Jr., Air Force, Air Traffic Controller, 1960 to 64. He was in New York, Greenland, and Oklahoma. Next group here, Marvin W. Kreitz, K-R-E-I-T-Z, Army Major, 1st to 52nd Infantry, 1966 to 79, He was in the 198th Infantry Brigade. Douglas Lundquist, Naval Reserve, North Atlantic, 1964 to 70, Spain. Michael Regan, Army Specialist 4 Infantry, 1967 to 71, Vietnam. George A. Regan, Army Staff Sergeant, wounded in action, World War II, Europe. Pedrig D. Regan, U.S. Marine Corps Corporal Sniper, 2016 to 2024, and he was in Victor II /4F Company, snipers. Peter E. Sather, Army Private First Class, 321 Artillery, 1918 to 1919, and he's in the Argonne Forest. L. Dale Syverson, 11th Airborne Division, Army, 1954 to 58. Leroy Shinoa, U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Artillery, 2006 to 2010, Iraq. Gerald D. Waverin, Air Force Sergeant, 1952 to 56, jet mechanic. Okay, next section of large ones is Navy Wayne R. Bystrom, Aviation Machinist Mate, Korea, 1951 to 55, USS Essex. CVA number is 9. Specialist 4 Lawrence G. Mendez Sr., Army Artillery, Fort Lewis, Washington, 1965 to 1971. He also went to Korea. Navy Martin O. Van Rees, Akan, Miramar, Victor Foxtrot 213, and Foxtrot 14. He was in from 1988 to 92. He was on the CVN 72, which was Abraham Lincoln ship. Okay, another different group. Raymond Lallier, he was a Navy seaman, 1948 to 1952, and there's about 3 or 4 other Lalliers that are already that are installed. And the ones that I'm reading, by the way, are all installed. We finished installing them on Thursday of about a week and a half ago. It was a great accomplishment to get all of them installed in there, and then the spaces that would have been there, we put blanks in. So large ones and small ones. So for future use, there's 300 that are blanks. So before these 68 that I'm reading now, we had 400 in the ground, and so now we got 468 names there, and then it'll be the 300. You can still buy a paver. You purchase them down at the Forest Lake City Center. Okay, I did Raymond already. Lieutenant General Donald. No, not General. I put you up quite a few ranks there, Don Plooster, but it's a Lieutenant Junior grade, Lieutenant JG, Don Plooster. Are you here, Don? Okay. And he was Navy, USS Kemper County, and it was 854 was the number, 1958 to 61, the Western Pacific. And I think I have them all. All right, in record time. We'll go on to the next thing. So let's give everybody a round of applause who purchased papers recently. And, okay, and there's one other person, my daughter, Karen Miller Fagnant, and her paver, we dedicated it actually last November, but she lives in Anchorage and couldn't make it down here. You know, it's winter up there in November, and so, no, just kidding. So she's here. So stand up, Karen. Okay. She was in the Minnesota Air National Guard for about 6 or 7 years, whatever. She was a medic, and then when she finished, got her RN, then she became a nurse in the Air National Guard. So thank you.
Okay, my name is Dave Rovang, as you can see in the pamphlet, and I just want to welcome you all here from the VFW point of view, and it's my honor then to have a closing prayer. Dear Lord, in your infinite mercy, bless the souls of our nation's heroes who have fallen in battle. Protect the lives of the troops who protect us now and provide healing and strength to the family and friends that love them. Amen.
Thank you, Dave and everyone. We're going to retire the colors, and then we're going to do some announcements. So let's retire the colors. They have to go to a bunch of different places. Yep. First one is Scandinavian Cemetery at 10:15, and then at 10:40 Cedar Hill Cemetery, which is on Heath Avenue, back in the area back there off of Heath, off of North Shore, at 10:40. Then at 11:05, they're at Calvary Cemetery, and 11:20 Oak Park Cemetery out in Columbus, and 11:45 Victor Hill Cemetery out on Jordell Street in Lindell, way out west. So those are the different cemeteries that we go, and we have a short little service. The rifle team goes also, color guard rifle team, and then have a little devotion there, and it's great. So, color guard, go ahead and retire. Okay, thank you, color guard. And rifle squad, you did good too. And thank you all for coming. You can go ahead and take your seat. We've got just two more things to do here. So, a couple more things that I want to mention about the pavers and the memorial. It has been great. First of all, Bob and I have mentioned that we were in the team for a long time as in the committee, and we always have somebody from the city staff, city parks. That's Kyle at this point. Kyle's back there in the light blue. He's behind the scenes kind of a guy and does a lot of good work. We thank you for what you do, Kyle. And we had Mark Finneman, which he had stood up before, and Gary Lee is on the team. And then the Forest Lake Chamber of Commerce person, which happens to be Nanette Lanasa at this point in time. So that's our group. So we have everything over there except for the 9-foot-tall centerpiece, which, as General Marsh said, is going to come probably next spring. But so anyway, other than that, you can see all of the pavers are in place. The blanks are in place, taking up those spaces. So we're still selling. You can still purchase them down at the City Hall. All right. So, and the city did a lot too as far as money goes and all too, because one of the first things that had to happen is there was a 6-inch water main that went right under the site. And it went over to the bathhouse, and then it went over to those townhouses. That was, underground. We really couldn't chance putting a memorial on top of that. So the first thing that happened last summer, the end of the summer, was to dig that all up and change where that pipe was. And the city has defrayed that cost, and they've been with us side by side the whole way. So Mayor Blake Roberts, would you come to the mic? We thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let's first give a hand to the Legion and the VFW. Every year putting this on, it's such an amazing event. Thank you. So as Ron mentioned, this is really a special day for Forest Lake. It's our soft opening to the Veterans Memorial that's been years and years in the making. So we appreciate everyone's work on that, especially the Vets Memorial Committee. I'd also like to thank former Representative Bob Detmer for getting this started. We did get some funding a lot of funding from the state, and also Senator Housley and Representative Patty Anderson. So we thank them for that contribution. Also like to thank the Chamber of Commerce, as Ron had mentioned, and then my fellow city council members, two of which are here, Councilmember Larson and Erickson, and also Valento and Councilmember Miller. So thank you for the council to support this project. It wouldn't have been done without the support of everyone working together, so thank you to the fellow council members. And most importantly, everyone who donated, whether you donated for a paver or you financially donated significant sums. There's been a lot of dollars that have been raised here locally, so we appreciate all of that as well.
Yes.
During that paver presentation, I want to point out one individual that was named, Joshua Brown. Joshua Brown was our police officer here in Forest Lake. He passed away, unfortunately, last year, so I just want to call that out. I know he's got a lot of his fellow officers in the back there, so thank you to Josh and all the officers. So that wraps up this morning's events. We have Minnesota Frost and Flame, who's doing a courtesy food, donation of all food, with any tips going to the Invisible Wounds Project. So please stick around, enjoy some great barbecue, go check out this amazing memorial, and next year at this time, we'll have that completed. So thanks everyone for coming today.
And I have a closing remarks that I forgot. Somehow my list that had the Hallbergs on it, I realized when you were saying that there was a lot of groups and things that gave some money. The Hallbergs definitely gave some money, and I thought, no, wait a minute, I didn't read their pavers. They have pavers also. So I'm going to mention what their pavers say. So Gene Hallberg, Petty Officer 3, he was a Navy radarman, 1952 to 1960. San Diego, Great Lakes, Benton Harbor, and he's alive. Melbourne Hallberg, infantry armor, World War II. Mel was in the 69th Infantry and Tank Corps in Italy. Travis Hallberg, Petty Officer 3, and he was in the 2009 to 2013. He was a Navy aviation mate handler. Warren C. Hallberg, Lieutenant, Army Air Corps pilot, 1942 to 45. Okay, I think that was it then. Hopefully so. So, thank you all for coming, and if you want to go to one of those cemeteries, do that. If you want to hang around up there, I'm going to be up there for a few minutes, and then what happens is Dave goes to the cemetery number 1, 3, and 5. I go to cemetery number 2 and 4. I think I'm going to miss 2 because I'll probably be over there, but I will go to 4. So, thank you all for coming, and thank you all, everybody, for taking part. Dismissed.